Hi gardeners, let's talk about growing strawberries. Strawberries are one of the best crops for beginners to grow. They're easy to grow, they're fun to harvest, they're just all in all a joy to have in your garden. Let's talk today about how to grow strawberries. This is my strawberry patch. This is where I grow the majority of my strawberries. There are hundreds of plants in here now. Some have spread by shooting off runners. I've divided some strawberries, others have grown by seed. So by now there are way too many strawberry plants in here, but I love it. I also have some strawberries growing on the deck in containers, and I also grow a few strawberries inside. Right now my indoor strawberries are growing in my click and grow garden, which I absolutely love. While strawberries are quite easy to grow in comparison to some other plants, there's a few basics you have to get right. Number one is water. Strawberry plants need water, otherwise they will dry out, so keep your plants well watered. Now, while they do need water, their roots also need access to air, so the soil that they're planted in needs to be free draining. The water needs to be able to drain easily out of the soil. These ones here are planted in some soil that's raised up a little bit, and that really helps. Just the raised nature of the bed helps them drain. A strawberry pot with a hole in the bottom too is also raising the plants up and allowing water to drain freely out of the container. So whether you're growing your strawberries in the ground, in a raised bed structure, in a strawberry pot, or in a container, just make sure that the water is draining. Use well-draining potting mix or garden soil. I'll put a few recommendations into the description of this video in case you're unsure of what that means, but for potting mix you're looking for something with maybe cocoa coir, perlite, something that's going to be lightweight and allow for that water to drain instead of like a heavy clay that's just going to hold ponded water. Next, strawberries love sunlight. Plant them somewhere where they can get at least 4 hours of sunlight each day, but preferably 6 to 8 if you can manage it somewhere in your yard. The sunlight shining down on the leaves of the strawberry plants is how the strawberry plants make the energy that they need to grow those big, delicious, luscious strawberries. So try and plant your strawberries in a spot where they can access lots of sunlight. Now, if you don't have the perfect spot, don't fret. I have my strawberries in a spot here where they get morning sunlight and afternoon sunlight, but in the middle of the day, like right now, they're all under the shade of this evergreen, and they grow perfectly fine. There are a few spots where they're a little bit thinner, definitely some spots in the afternoon sun where they get more larger strawberries, but all in all, these are not fussy plants. Plant them where you can fit them in. They look absolutely beautiful for most of the year, and there are lots of types of strawberries that fruit all summer. I want to talk a little bit about strawberry varieties. The varieties that you choose actually make a really big difference in how the strawberries you grow taste. And while your environmental factors like the sun shining and the water certainly do affect the taste of your strawberries, the genetics, the variety of strawberry that you're growing is also key. So let's talk about some of the best tasting varieties of strawberry. This is an alpine strawberry and they taste delicious. They are closer to the wild strawberries. This particular variety is called Mignonette, but all of the different varieties of alpine strawberries that I've tasted have tasted delicious. Lots are red. There are some that are a little more pineapple-y. They're more of a yellow color and almost a white too. They're almost candy-like, and you can't buy them in the stores. They're so delicate. You have to be careful when you pick them not to squish them, so they obviously wouldn't ship well. So if you want to enjoy alpine strawberries, you kind of have to grow them yourself. Fortunately, they're very easy. The other great thing about alpine strawberries is that they're clumping. They don't send out a bunch of crazy runners. I use alpine strawberry plants around the perimeter of my strawberry patch because they don't send runners out into the yard. And because the berries are so small, they're ready earlier in the season. So as the peonies are blooming, we're getting our first little tiny alpine strawberries, and they are so delicious. Fortunately, we have enough plants now that we have more berries than we can eat, but in the beginning I was wishing I had more plants because the berries are quite small. You maybe get like a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup off of a plant. Now let's chat about some of the regular, bigger sized garden variety strawberries you can grow. I have a few different types of strawberries growing here that I really like. Honeyway is one of my favorites, so is Ozark Beauty. I have Eclair. Some other really tasty varieties of strawberries are Sparkle strawberries, Mar de Bois, Early Glow, Fairfax, Marshall, if you can find them, Chandler's Southern Strawberries, Deliz container strawberries, Early Glow are delicious. I have some Fort Laramie strawberries that are particularly hardy. There are the Pine Berries, the white strawberries. I have a few Kuno variety strawberries in my patch. They're yummy too. Whatever varieties of strawberry you pick, you want to make sure you're looking for healthy plants from a reputable source. You're getting healthy plants, you're planting them in a well-drained, kind of a sandy loam soil, possibly enriching with compost, then you're gonna get the most flavorful strawberries out of those plants. Try to get those 8 hours of direct sunlight on the leaves if you can. That will make a big difference. Keep the soil consistently moist. You don't want it to be wet. Imagine the perfect soil like a wrung out sponge. Like it's damp, but there's still air in there for those roots. I do also fertilize my strawberry plants with organic fertilizer. You want to be really careful not to overfeed your strawberries. You don't want big watery strawberries. You want to be careful about how much you apply. Follow the instructions. More is not better. And also what season. I try to get the plants their nutrition with a slow release granular fertilizer first thing in the spring before they're really getting going, or at the end of the season, just while it's still kind of end of summer. They still have some time throughout the early fall to absorb those nutrients. I always feed my strawberries with organic plant food, and I look for a plant food for my strawberries that has the OMRI label. This little label here on the bottom that says OMRI indicates that a product has been listed as approved for organic use. And if you don't see the label, you can also look it up in the database. Usually if a fertilizer product is approved for organic use by the Organic Materials Review Institute, it's gonna have this logo on the package. This is the fertilizer I'm using for my strawberries this year. I'll put a few other fertilizer options down in the description below this video so you can check out some different organic options for feeding your strawberry plants. So if your strawberry plants need a lot of sunlight, but the roots need to have a lot of moisture, that presents a bit of a problem. So how are we going to keep the sun from baking out all of the water that they need in the soil? Mulch. Mulch is your best friend when you're growing strawberries. It keeps the moisture in the soil, it keeps weeds down, which is great because strawberries, I mean, the roots aren't that big. They don't need any competition. So it keeps the weeds down, keeps soil moisture in. Mulch also provides a bit of a barrier layer on top of the soil in case any of your strawberries droop down and touch the soil. You don't want them touching the actual soil itself because then bugs kind of get in and chew them up. Hopefully the strawberries are just hanging in the air, but on the off chance that they do rest on the ground, we want them to be resting on some dry mulch, not on the ground. The strawberries you've grown are a lot less likely to get eaten by bugs or rot on the ground if they are resting on a nice bed of mulch. My favorite mulch for strawberries is straw, just the stalks of grass plants. I use the stalks for my ornamental grasses. You can also buy straw for mulch. It's just a fantastic, clean mulch. It's not gonna have seeds in it that are gonna grow any competing plants, and it dries out quickly after the rain, making that nice barrier on top of the soil between the strawberry plants, keeping the moisture in the soil, keeping weeds from sprouting up, and also helping those strawberries that do droop down, keeping them from resting on any damp soil. Strawberries grow in an amazing range of climates. You can grow them up north where it's zone 2 or 3. You can grow them down south in zone 10. They're very adaptable to different climates. These are hardy plants that aren't too fussy about conditions. Another nice thing about strawberries in the landscape is that they don't grow terribly high. You can use strawberry plants as a living ground cover. The alpine types that tend to clump are perfect little edging plants for the front of the bed, and the larger garden strawberries that tend to send out runners are nice because you don't have to buy too many plants before they fill in an area all in themselves. If you don't want a big strawberry patch, you can grow your strawberries in rows. It's really common to see strawberries grown in rows with plastic mulch. Plastic sheeting does a great job of keeping moisture in the soil, keeping weeds down, and making a nice dry surface for any strawberries to droop onto. I prefer to use classic straw mulch on my strawberries, but there are a ton of different options you can choose from. You can also use pine straw, which is essentially just dried pine needles. That makes a fantastic mulch for strawberry plants too, and it's also an organic option. In terms of plastic, black plastic sheeting is probably the most common, but you can also even buy red plastic sheeting. I've heard it makes the strawberries a little bit sweeter, so that's something I haven't tried, but certainly very interesting. If you don't have plastic sheeting around, you can also use landscape fabric as strawberry mulch. Just cut little holes for the strawberries as you would in the plastic sheeting. Now, in the same vein as straw mulch, you can use grass clippings as mulch for your strawberries. Leave the grass clippings on the lawn to let them dry out a little bit, and once they're dry, they can be applied in thin layers. You can do this every couple of weeks or whenever you're mowing the lawn. Just make sure that you're letting the grass clippings dry out a little bit so they have that straw-like feeling before you're applying them onto your strawberry patch as mulch. If you have a mulching mower or a mulching leaf vac, you can also use shredded leaves for mulch for strawberries. They work perfectly well as an organic mulch, just also let them dry out a little bit. Wood chips are another kind of mulch that are sometimes used to grow strawberries. Just take care not to apply them too thickly. If you're looking for a living mulch for strawberries, ryegrass is a good option. It does compete a little bit with the strawberry roots for nutrients and moisture, but these drawbacks are kind of balanced out by the fact that it's such a low waste option. The last mulch option, which is perfect for if you only have a few plants, is ring mats. So these are little mats made of cocoa coir, sometimes plastic, that go right around the soil, around the plant, like a little collar. I'll add links to where you can find all these different kinds of mulches in the description below this video. So I have a lot of strawberry plants out here in the yard, but don't worry if you don't have a big yard, because there's some really fantastic containers for growing strawberries if you want to grow them in a container but you'd like to have a few more. One of my favorites is the garden tower. This thing will hold like 50 strawberry plants. This is a serious vertical gardening setup if you want to grow strawberries. It also has a composter right in the middle, so that is really convenient too. So if you have a patio and you want a ton of strawberries, you want to maximize space, the garden tower is fantastic, and I'll put a link to that. A cheaper option than the garden tower are the Mr. Stacky stackable planters. The Mr. Stacky planters are nice because you can kind of get the different modules, you rotate them, and it makes little strawberry pockets. It's essentially a giant strawberry jar. You can grow strawberries in a raised bed, you can grow them in a big whiskey barrel, you can grow them in a veg truck. I've grown strawberries in large serving bowls, I've grown them in a souffle dish. You can use all kinds of different containers for growing strawberries. So obviously it's summer here, it's really easy to grow strawberries outside, but you can also grow them indoors, no problem. You can grow them in any of these containers that I've already described. You can grow them in the Click and Grow. I don't know why I feel the need to grow strawberries indoors in the middle of summertime, but for some reason I do. So here's what my Click and Grow looks like right now. It's got these 3 little pockets of strawberry plants. I think there are actually 2 strawberry plants in each of these pockets. So I think I have actually 6 strawberry plants growing here in this Click and Grow right now. If I wanted more, I think my dream indoor gardening setup would be the farm stand. And this is by a company called Let Us Grow. And first of all, just the fact that their company is called Let Us Grow is amazing. But the farm stand is essentially like a fancy tower garden, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's like this piece of furniture in your home. If you just got the really short one, it would hold 12 plants, but you can go up to 36 plants. So you can get a ton of strawberry plants in your living room like year round with one of these things, and they have light attachments too. So yes, the farm stand by Let Us Grow is my dream indoor strawberry growing setup. Thank you so much for chatting about growing strawberries with me today, and I'll see you in the garden.